Welcome back to the Green Connection. It's the month of May, the beginning of, when this show will run all throughout the month, but we're on something that is really, I just got so fascinated with it, modular housing. What got me to thinking about it was looking at the Hilton Hotel and realizing that that had been delivered in module in 1967 before the World Fair. And so I began looking up the history of modular or prefab or manufactured housing. Um, the log cabins were a form of modular construction because when they built the log cabins, they cut the logs to fit and then they hauled them over to the site where they were going to build. Uh, Manufactured housing in the United States has got it doesn't have a good name. People want to, what they look at is they look back at what I used to call the trailer coaches. I worked for an advertising agency. I did PR for Schultz Trailers. And I went to their factory, which is in Wisconsin, and got my first taste of modular, prefabricated, manufactured housing and was very impressed. Uh, Not too long ago, the Wall Street Journal reported that $1 million prefab modular houses are a growing trend in Europe. Still here in the United States, there's a big stigma to something that's manufactured, which is really strange because automobiles, you don't assemble those on site. Uh, a lot of things, all kinds of equipment, doesn't assemble on site. So, would probably your most expensive uh, investment, a home being, the most money you're spending, why would you want something built on site uh, where you have to deal with the weather and all sorts of natural conditions with the workman's attitude? There's really no one to inspect them. And so there's really a big advantage to factory built houses. Uh, in the more than 70, the pioneers of modular manufactured housing actually was Sears Roebuck. The Sears Roebuck catalog offered 40, how many different 400 styles of homes, and they sold those on the catalog, through the catalog from 1908 to 1940. The About 70,000 sold, and we do have them in Texas. I did a story on the catalog houses in San Antonio and Castroville in the Express News a few years ago, and the ones in Castroville I think we have some photos of. But now we're going to look at the manufactured housing that Sears Roebuck did. Um, they delivered their materials by mostly by rail, and that's why Castroville and San Antonio and Houston were on the railroad, their stops, and so they would unload from the railroad, and the site was usually set up before the houses came, and then they would get someone to assemble the parts, which were all perfectly measured and included everything from the dining room china cabinets to the bathroom fixtures, and were priced at an amazing like $425. And a luxury home was like $2,000. And the ones that are still in existence have held up through the years, and they are remarkably fine. Even those interior amenities have held up, and the people have preserved the house, and it really was well built. But let's look at a video on the history of the Sears built catalog houses.
Sears, Roebuck and Company of Chicago, Illinois, was looking for new ways to make money. Julius Rosenwald, president of Sears, knew that homeowners both needed and purchased more merchandise than non-homeowners. By helping more Americans to obtain the American dream of homeownership, Sears would be creating a new market for the 100,000 items in their catalog. Sears catalog homes helped the working classes to begin to live in modern comfort and to expect a better life while expanding the Chicago and other Illinois suburbs. Eventually, Sears modern homes helped pave the way for the tract housing that makes up most of the suburbs today. While other American companies made kit homes, including Aladdin and Montgomery Ward, Sears was the #1 home seller because 1 out of every 4 Americans were already buying from Sears catalogs. In 1900, businesses started moving to the suburbs because their workers suddenly had a way to get there: cars. In 1900, there were 8,000 cars registered in the United States. In 1910, 46,000 cars were registered. That is a 500% increase. In Illinois, the Elgin Watch Factory employed thousands until it closed in the mid-1950s. Interestingly, 1 in 4 Elgin Watch Factory employees owned a Sears modern home. Today, Elgin, a suburb of Chicago, has the largest known collection of Sears modern homes in the country. Another company whose employees owned Sears modern homes was Standard Oil. In 1918, Standard Oil made Sears modern homes mail order history by placing the largest order of kit homes ever. They ordered 192 Sears homes for $1 million and had them shipped to Carlinville, Illinois, because they wanted to provide houses for their workers to buy to make it easy for them to move and work in Standard Oil's coal mine. Hundreds of other companies were taking advantage of the new roads that supported the exploding car industry and moved out of Chicago. The Chicago suburbs began to grow quickly, and the people moving there needed homes. In 1900, young working-class families did not usually own their own houses. Some paid rent, but 100 years ago, most young families lived with several generations of their relatives in one house, while others rented rooms in boarding houses. These homes did not have a lot of the things that nearly all homes have today. Many didn't have plumbing, including bathrooms, because they were not connected to municipal water systems. Others didn't have electricity and were lit with gas. And most didn't have central heating and were not built with modern standards that included watertight roofs, walls, and floors. Of course, many of these young families wanted to own homes of their own, but getting a house was out of reach financially because mortgages or loans to buy a house were rare, and buying a house meant paying in cash. In 1911, Sears started selling pre-cut homes in which the framing and the trim were already cut, and the doors, cabinets, and shelves were already built before they even reached the building site. Pre-cut parts saved both time and money on construction, which made Sears homes cheaper than regular built homes. The first page of the 1913 Sears Modern Homes catalog says, "Stop paying rent. Quit building castles in the air. Build a real castle, a home of your own." In the 1913 catalog, homes ranged from house number 142, which cost $298 and had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a living room, to house number 154, a 2-family house that cost $2,702 and had 2 kitchens, 2 bathrooms, 2 dining rooms, and 2 parlors. Few of these houses included a bathroom, but buyers could buy a bathroom for as little as $38.50. Catalog also offered heaters, furnaces, and special finishes that could make a house even better. These modern homes were hard to catch on fire, didn't leak, and included modern amenities like electricity and garages. In 1911, Sears also began offering mortgages, which made buying houses possible for a lot more families. However, mortgages, like the house prices, did not cover the land or the foundation, just the house. After an order for a Sears home was placed, all of the pieces would come in a boxcar. Buyers got around 12,000 pieces, along with blueprints. These pieces included as many as 25 doors, 750 pounds of nails, 27 gallons of paint and varnish, 400 feet of sash cord, 72 window weights, 200 feet of galvanized gutters, 325 feet of crown molding, 240 balusters, 36 risers, 37 treads, 6 dozen coat hooks, 10 pounds of wood putty, and 1 doorbell. In 1918, Sears had already sold 25,000 houses. Catalog prices typically included only the building materials, cost of the finished house, including the lot, the foundation, and construction labor was about double the catalog price. Although Sears claimed you would save 50% on the cost of a regular house, most buyers probably saved about 25% over conventional homes. In 1919, average income in the United States was $15,500 per year, which made Sears homes affordable to many. Even though in the 1922 catalog it said, "You only need a hammer and nails to put up the framework of your house," 50% of the people who ordered Sears Modern Homes hired builders to build their houses. The other half built the houses themselves. Fortunately for Sears and other kit home companies, more houses were needed badly. When World War I ended in 1918, housing analysts estimated that 1 to 2 million homes were needed immediately, not just for returning soldiers but for the constant flood of immigrants pouring in through Ellis Island. This growth extended to Illinois as well, where the population grew from 4.8 million in 1900 to nearly 6.5 million 20 years later. The 1926 Sears Modern Homes catalog showed the interiors of the houses and the placement of furniture, lights, radios, and other accessories that buyers could get from Sears to make their homes perfect. Other kit home companies offered houses and mortgages, but Sears offered the working classes a way to fully change the way they lived. The catalogs of the 1920s had more house models than those from the teens. Bathrooms were no longer extra, and every model had one. By the 20s, the catalog had a greater variety of prices for houses. In 1926, the prices ranged from $629 for the Selby, which had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, to $4,472 for the Lexington, which had 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 balconies, a sunroom, a dining porch, and a reception hall. Average income in the U.S. in 1924 was $14,500, which still made Sears homes affordable. On the very first page of the 1926 catalog are the words, "Small monthly payments." On that same page it also says, payments are from $15 to $75 per month. Sears is also selling the idea that the suburbs are the best place to live with phrases like, "Give the kiddies a chance," "Get close to nature," "Have real friends and neighbors." In 1931, 57,000 Sears Modern Homes had been sold. The 1930 catalog, easy payment mortgages are still being heavily promoted, but because of the Great Depression, Sears put up monthly payments, not full prices, in the catalog to ease buyers' minds. Fewer houses were in the 1930 Sears Modern Homes catalogs, and most of them were small. Average income in the U.S. was falling in the 1930s, and by 1934 it had dropped to $14,000. The Great Depression had also caused housing starts in the U.S. to drop 53%. Fortune magazine stated that the sales of Sears homes decreased 40% in 1932, and the Modern Homes department had taken a loss of $1.15 million for the year. Sears had 862 homes with $3,539,721 in defaulted mortgages. Sears Modern Homes department closed in 1934 because of defaulted mortgages and reopened in 1935, offering only houses, no mortgages. The department closed once and for all in 1940. Pre-cut houses thrived until after World War II, when tract housing construction methods meant that pre-cut housing companies could no longer compete. With millions of soldiers returning from the war and needing houses, developers bought large tracts of land in the suburbs and built hundreds of houses at once, instead of one at a time. These developers knew that their houses would sell, since the working classes, even young families, expected to live in modern comfort. Sears Modern Homes helped to expand the Illinois suburbs and helped thousands to achieve the American dream of homeownership.
Then his son, uh, John 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 Lloyd Bright, uh, worked with his father, and his father and he did not get along very well together. But they were building a hotel in Japan, and John got the idea that he could make a child's toy out of some kind of material. And I think we have a video on how John got the idea and how he worked with his dad and what he finally came up with.
Other pieces here. Then we'll run the roof over the top, and lo and behold, there we are with a Lincoln log cabin.
It's been one of the world's most popular children's toys for nearly 100 years, with over 100 million sets sold globally. We've all grown up with Lincoln Logs, the classic construction toy which encourages children's creativity and inspires their imagination.
You could theoretically build things of all sorts of different sizes.
Lincoln Logs are made up of notched miniature logs, which allow children of all sizes to build their own customized homes, forts, and buildings. In essence, the toy brings out the young architect in its users. That's fitting, because Lincoln Logs were created by the son of the man who was perhaps America's greatest architect, Frank Lloyd Wright. The story starts here, in the Oak Park, Illinois home built by Wright for his family in the late 19th century. In that home, Wright built this elaborate playroom for his 6 children. It's where he introduced them to these geometric building blocks developed by Friedrich Froebel, the German educator who came up with the concept of kindergarten. Wright's second son, John Lloyd, was fascinated by these blocks, and they influenced his future careers as an architect and as a toy maker.
It was in that room, using Froebel blocks, that John, the second of the 2 male children, essentially began to feel that spirit of being an architect. But it was always a tension between his father, who was an architect, and his love for building toys that he had begun to learn in that Froebel system of early childhood education.
As a young adult, John Lloyd Wright accompanied his father to Tokyo, where Frank Lloyd Wright was commissioned to build Japan's Imperial Hotel. John was fired by his father in a squabble over money, but his experience working on the Imperial Hotel project wasn't wasted. John noticed his father using interlocking timbers to help construct the hotel and make it earthquake-proof. With that inspiration, John Lloyd Wright came up with the idea of Lincoln Logs.
Mr. John Lloyd Wright suddenly had sort of an epiphany one day, and he said, I've got it. I know it's just come to me, the kind of toy that American kids would love to play with. And he said, I've seen it now looking at these vertical and horizontal great timbers being pounded into the ground, and I've also seen it with this bamboo framework. He said, I'm going to put together a building toy, and I know exactly what I want. The building toy I want is the great first toy that was a first building that was put up in America, the log cabin.
John Lloyd Wright produced the template for the toy in 1916, and 2 years later, he began to market his creation. On August 31, 1920, Wright received a patent for Lincoln Logs. He named the toy after America's 16th president, who famously was born in a Kentucky log cabin.
Lincoln's had values of basically simplicity, warmth, responsibility. And those are the kinds of things that I think John Lloyd Wright was trying to instill in children that would play with Lincoln Logs.
Lincoln Logs were an instant success, but John Lloyd Wright, who created his own toy company to market his product, would soon move on from his creation.
The first year they hit the market, around 1918, he simply sold out. And after that, he had a couple of other bumper years. But for a variety of reasons, I think ambivalence about whether he wanted to really be a toy designer his whole life or he wanted to become an architect, he sold out his ownership in the company for stock. The company became known after that still as the John Lloyd Wright or J.L. Wright Inc. company, but he no longer really had a hand in the toy designs that followed in Lincoln Log after 1923.
In 1943, the J.L. Wright Company sold the rights to Lincoln Logs to Play School for a mere $800, and the toy became more popular than ever. Peaking in popularity in the 1950s, thanks to TV advertisements for Lincoln Logs. John Lloyd Wright went on to create other toys, like his Wright Blocks, which came out in the 1950s, and he also became a noted architect, designing houses in Northwest Indiana and Southern California, which are now on the National Register for Historic Places. But he could never top Lincoln Logs, which remain popular today. In fact, Wright's creation was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame in 1999. One reason for their popularity is their flexibility. You can build city skylines with them, as this Denver man did in 2007. And these architecture students constructed a mock-up of the Nebraska State Capitol, a feat which made the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest ever Lincoln Log structure.
John said that he was enormously surprised at the kind of structures that could be built out of Lincoln Logs. They're sturdy, they don't break very easily, they don't break at all, really. I think they're ultimately very creative.
As the video shows you, they were building a hotel in Tokyo, and John got the idea of the children's toy. When they were children, Frank Lloyd Wright had 7 children from 3 different wives, and John Lloyd was one of them. And he came up with the idea of Lincoln Logs, which I have. Lincoln Logs is 100 years old this year, celebrating its centennial. When I was a little girl, a long time ago, my brother and I used to build various and sundry things with Lincoln Logs, and then our other favorite toy was Tinker Toys. And John's family, they had a special room with the children's toys, and they had building toys and mostly learning types of toys. When he designed the Lincoln Log system, he named it Lincoln. Many people think he named it after President Lincoln because the similarity of the logs and the Abraham Lincoln. Actually, Frank Lloyd Wright's birth name was Frank Lincoln Wright, and so maybe he named him after his father. But anyway, the Lincoln Logs, it's a centennial anniversary. I ordered the centennial box, and I need to get some instructions because I'm here playing with them and I don't know what goes where. But the various different sizes, I noticed that they only had 4 of the big ones, so I have to figure out what to do with the rest. But the system is very much like building a modular or a manufactured house. In San Antonio, there probably were, we have many trailer parks or mobile home parks. In Europe, they don't have any. And so a German company called Huff, H-U-F, House, H-A-U-S, which is a house in German, in the late 1800s started manufacturing homes, doing the manufacturing, the units in the factory and setting them up in Germany. Today, they're one of the largest manufacturers of luxury, multi-million-dollar homes, not only in Germany, but in England and Italy and some of the Central American countries. And they've got a reputation of being the best built on earth. There's an offshoot of the Huff houses in America, and we'll cover that a little bit later. Right now, we're going to look at a picture of how San Antonio's Hilton Palacio del Rio was built. Before when the World's Fair here was announced here, the directors and the chairman had very little time to get the city ready, less than 2 years, which was amazing. And so there was not enough housing for the visitors that they expected to get. And so the decision was made to build the Hilton Hotel on the property across from the park, Hemisphere Park, and but they didn't have time to build it on site. I believe 19 stories. I'm not sure what the height is. But they decided to take a chance, and Zachary Construction came up with the idea of building the rooms completely in a factory. Not only did they do the module, which would be the exterior finishing and the designing of the rooms, but it included the bathroom fixtures, the piping, the electrical connections, and even the furniture. And when each little cubicle was, they set up the structure, which was steel, and when the structure was ready, they delivered each of these cubicles and stacked them one on the other. And it's lasted over 50 years. Last year, the Hilton Palacio del Rio celebrated its 50th anniversary, and it's in marvelous shape. And it's a good example of what a luxury module or prefab can look like and last forever. Nowadays, what they're more thinking of is environmental consideration, energy efficiency. Not too many years ago, Lake Floto architects had a segment of their company called the Porch House. So what is the future of modular housing? There are many manufacturers that are listed in the phone book that say modular prefab. Most of them are mobile home builders. Some of them do modules. But two architects from Germany, Alexander and Michelle Kobel, came from Germany. He had worked with the house, which we discussed before, the Huff House company for 20 years. She was an architect and an American. They met in Berlin, moved to the United States, and started their own multi-million-dollar luxury type, as well as just affordable modular homes. And they also do regular traditional homes. They're committed, they say, to the high level of efficiency that comes with each individual has a responsibility to protect the environment, which means that's available to them. Climate change, rising energy costs, and the threat of health issues with VOCs and formaldehyde are additional concerns. By building energy efficient, net zero, or even net positive houses, homes that generate more energy than they use, they are able to help protect the environment while providing great comfort and savings for homeowners. Having trained in Germany, one of the leading European countries in terms of energy conservation and environmental protection, they're bringing this new mindset to the United States. So if you want to get a hold of them or see what they do, their website is small letters EVO, large letter Domus, Evo Domus, Evolving Domus House. Hope I haven't failed you too much. I hope you were wishing Lincoln Logs a happy birthday. Incidentally, Frank Lloyd Wright is the 150th anniversary this year, so there's a lot to celebrate. And if you have a space that you'd like to put something on, have it manufactured. Have a great day and stay green.